Hello YouTube. No, your eyes are not playing tricks on you. You are indeed looking at the fake Merc character study, part 22. It has been almost a year for the ment addicts that you are, and I know that a lot of you are rejoicing at these words, as you should, because I have many interesting ments to share with you today. The drought is finally over. Now, if you're new to the channel and you clicked on this for some reason, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, what the fuck is this? Who is this horrible person in the thumbnail? And how could there be 22 episodes about that single individual? Well, let me explain to you. The Character Study series is a series dedicated to analyzing a certain type of people within the fitness sphere. People who are known online as lolcows. A lolcow is someone who makes an ass out of themselves without realizing it, and therefore they are a great source of unintentional comedy. We point at them and we make fun of them. But for the individual that we're concerned with today, Jason Blowhole, it's more sinister because the guy is not just funny. He has done some pretty horrendous shit within the fitness sphere in the past, and so I made it my mission to expose him and also to turn him into the buffoon that he is, and to at least turn a wrong into a right, to at least give people something to laugh at by pointing out all of the ridiculous shit he has been doing for the past 5 to 8 years on this platform. And believe it or not, 20 episodes is barely enough to cover it all. It barely scratches the surface of all of the stupid lies he's told in the past. But if you've never heard of him before, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to go watch every single episode, although I can already predict that if you enjoyed this video, you will go back and watch every single episode because you're going to become addicted to the ments. But for you to enjoy this particular session, it's very simple. If you like commentary style videos and you like weird internet personalities, you are going to greatly enjoy this roast. And if you are also interested in the fitness sphere and what is going on in it, like with the noble natties, for example, that's also going to be something that's going to interest you, because I'm going to be talking about current events, because again, many things have been happening for the past month. And another added benefit of this series is that if you're new to it, you're going to be able to discover a new facet of my personality, because I get quite savage in these roasts. And actually, I think that this is the true me. It's very close to the true me, because I am kind when I need to be, but most of the time I'm judgmental, and I have no problem crushing roaches when it is needed. So this might, in a sense, make you disappointed in me, and if it's the case, that's fine. But it might also make you enjoy my personality and my content even more. And don't worry about it, Jason Blowhole deserves every single punishment that I'm going to be distributing today, and you will soon understand why. Now, of course, if you already know him, you already know how many atrocious things he's committed, but you might be surprised because he managed to outdo himself. He managed to do something that is much worse than everything he's done in the past. So even if you are a ment addict and a hardcore of Blahatism and the Blahaverse, you are still going to be discovering many new things today. Now, a good question to be asking would be, why now? What made me return now after a year of hiatus? Well, it's quite simple. You know, some people thought that I was now too big for that type of content, like I had become bougie and it was beneath me. Being an asshole and a dick is never beneath me, especially when the person deserves it. The reason is actually quite simple. It's because I'm a man of my word. I promised in the last installment that if Blowhole behaved, I would stop posting these videos. And he did behave for like 7 or 8 months. He kept his mouth shut. He was making shitty videos that no one cares about. And I was perfectly fine. But of course, as I had told you in the past, it wasn't going to last forever because the guy is a desperate case. I knew he was going to start running his mouth eventually, and I was not disappointed because this time the guy has decided to come after the noble natties. And he actually made some pretty severe accusations against me. So it is time for me to take out the baguette and spank him with it once more. So what happened exactly? Well, for those of you who are not in the loop, recently Blowhole accused the noble natties, so Alex Leonidas, GVS, Bolam Liman, myself, Basement Bodybuilding, everyone in the noble natties, Adam Throw included, of being liars, because apparently we're all on PEDs, because no one can be natural, of course, in the fitness sphere. He also claimed that we're all racists and that I, in particular, liked to attack and bully abuse survivors. So let's cover every single one of these claims one by one, starting with the PD accusation. This one is the easiest one to dismiss and the easiest one to explain. Where is it coming from? Well, it's simple. Bloho has always done that. Bloho built his career off of Nali or Not videos. People tend to forget that, but he's the first person to have done it. And it's not out of genius, it's out of resentment. It's because he hated everyone else in the industry who was bigger or more successful than him, which is 100% of people because it's impossible to be less successful than this leash. So this was his big start, and I'm not surprised to see that he's keeping to his old ways, and whenever he's feeling himself becoming less relevant, he simply attacks people who are better looking, who are doing better, which again is everyone. Everyone in the Nobonadis is more successful and better looking than Bloho because it's not hard to be better looking than a corpse, to be honest. And that jealousy also, of course, comes from the fact that Bloho is on PEDs, has been taking steroids for 20 years, but you would never be able to tell because he looks like he doesn't even lift, and his lifts are actually extremely poor even for a natural lifter. So of course, because we are all bigger and stronger than him, at least for Alex and Bold Only Man, he absolutely hates the idea that we could also be natural. And to that, I would only say that maybe if he learned how to train properly, he would look better. It is crazy to me that a guy who has been lifting for longer than I've been alive pretty much still doesn't fucking know how to do a curl. If you look at the way he does curls, he turns them into a fucking compound movement. He moves his entire body, blow-ho. A curl is supposed to be only your arm moving. You're not supposed to raise your shoulders. You're not supposed to swing your fat fucking hips. This is the reason why you have shitty biceps. It's not genetics. It's because you don't know how to curl. Maybe if you learn, you would look better. Although I doubt it because at this point, again, you are a lost cause. You have a melted candle physique and that will never actually go away. And as for the other arguments, most of them are stupid because the person who produces them is stupid as well. So I won't go over them, but it was stuff like everyone is on PEDs because PEDs exist, and if you make a living out of it, why wouldn't you take it? Well, it's called having principles, bro. Not everyone is a piece of shit like you. Actually, Basement Bodybuilding made 2 videos about it, which shows how patient he is. I watched the videos and they were lackluster, not because BP did anything wrong, but because he was trying to work off of nothing. Like if I gave you a tooth and I said, okay, make me a Greek statue, you're going to be in trouble. You cannot quote something out of nothing. His arguments were so bad that there was nothing to say about it. Again, I tried and it gave me an aneurysm. I felt like I lost IQ points listening to the guy, so I didn't even attempt it. But he kept doing that. Blow almost on a daily basis, makes community posts about, oh, they're not natural, no one is natural. Now he's claiming to be natural and he thinks it's a sick joke and a sick burn. Or the issue, Bloho, is that even if you were natural, you're still small and you look like shit. So it doesn't really work. The reason why people think we're not natural is because we look way too good to be natural. That is the reason. But for you, it simply doesn't function. Although I don't expect your small brain to understand that. Of course, it's also an attempt to become popular and relevant by attacking people more popular than him, which is funny as fuck if you think about it, because we all started after him, every single one of us, and yet we are all doing much, much better than him. And that's for a simple reason. It's because his page is dead. If you look at his page, he has apparently 100k subs plus, but all of his videos get like 1,000 views. The only way he's able to get more than that is by putting our names in the title, which really indicates how much more popular we are compared to him. And a simple comparison again with Basement Bodybuilding reveals that, because Basement Bodybuilding has 20k subs, less than 20k, and he gets on average 5 to 10k's per video. That's 5 to 10k's more than Bloho. Why? Because Bloho's page is dead. No one wants to listen to the guy, unless again he's talking about other people. So I find it hilarious that he has noticed that his page is dying. He also realizes that his only income, because he's a leech, he has no job, comes from YouTube. So he's attempting to milk our popularity. How does it feel, Bloho, to rely on my name to be able to put food on the table? I know that it must be quite humiliating for you, the alpha male, but understand that this is still too good for you. You don't even deserve the ability to use my name or Alan Thor's name because you haven't actually earned anything. Now, I also want to point out that the very same person who is doing that, this Bloho guy, also has claimed in the past and is still claiming that I built my popularity off of him. So according to him, this channel, all of the views, all of you guys are only here because I shit on him, which is true for some of you guys, the hardcore addicts, but for the vast majority of the channel, it's complete fucking nonsense. These videos didn't get that many views. They have a hardcore following because it's hilarious to make fun of you, but for him to claim that is mind-blowing, because keep in mind that we are talking about a guy that in the past, and in a not so far removed past, used to make 2 drama videos a day. 2 a day, not a week, not a month, a day. Every day that God makes, Bloho would make 2 videos about other people, which is super fucking pathetic. And 2 also shows that he must spend a lot of time on YouTube Fitness looking at other people's content, because that's the only way to be able to keep up with that. The only reason why he stopped is because I know for a fact that YouTube reached out to him and told him to quiet down, because if he continued, they were going to actually block his page. But now he is back to his old tricks, because that's the only thing he knows how to do. But from someone who has a fucking catalog of drama videos, I don't think that it is actually welcome to claim that anyone is doing that for fame, because he is the worst offender. Now, I understand why he's doing that is because he understands that no one wants to listen to him talk about training. It's boring as fuck. He usually gets like 600 views. So naturally, he's going to talk about other people. So that was for the PD accusations, again, laughable. Now let's look at the accusations of racism. There was a bit of a movement going on at some point, I think 2 weeks ago, where some videos were coming out with evidence about Nobonadis being racist. I took a look at them and all of the evidence was complete bogus, so I didn't even waste my time with it. But what I always do when things like this happen is I always take a look at the individuals who post and I gather information about them, because at this point, might as well use the training I got from digging up stuff about Bloho's past. And I found some extremely interesting things about the individuals who instigated these claims. Now, I'm not going to dox these people, and I'm not going to reveal anything about them, including their past, let's say, legal proceedings. I think that the people who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. What interested me most was to understand where they were coming from, if their motivation was pure or if it wasn't. And I quickly found out that it wasn't pure. It was just an attempt at getting popularity for their pages. And what confirmed it for me was the fact that at some point they claimed that GVS was a white supremacist because he married an Asian woman. Try to make sense of that. The second I heard that, I realized these people were fucking brain dead. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because, of course, Bloho being a roach, he smelled an opportunity and he immediately tried to attach himself to them, to do the exact same thing that they attempted to do, which is to get attention to his YouTube channel. Keep in mind that we're talking about a person who at some point in time modified his YouTube handle to be able to gather traffic to his page by, in a sense, playing off of a misdirection. If you know who Nick Strength and Power is, at some point, Bloho changed his page's name to Jason Bloho's Strength and Power with the same exact handle, so as to, in a sense, try to trick people into clicking on his page, because they would think that they were actually clicking on Nick. First and foremost, no one would be that stupid. They would take one look at your shitty thumbnails and they would click off. And also, hilariously, of course, Nick didn't want to be associated with him, so he sent him a cease and desist, and Bloho, being the little bitch that he is, he actually changed the channel names back. All of that to tell you that the guy is so hungry for views that he's willing to do everything, including prostituting himself. So his next move and strategy, after name dropping us and claiming we're not natural, was that to claim that we are racist. But the reason why it's so fucking hilarious when Bloho attempts to jump on the outrage bandwagon is because we know what his past consisted of. So, for those unaware, Bloho is the man who stated that after 9/11, the USA should have bombed Saudi Arabia and Mecca, as well as arrest and execute every single Muslim citizen on live television. So that's in the US. And he added that, and I quote, "This is what we did to the Japs and it worked well." Talking about the fact, of course, that the United States gathered Japanese citizens that lived in the USA and put them into camps. And this fat fuck was gloating about that, saying we should do that to Muslims. He also said on camera that Mexicans should be put in catapults and sent over the border in an attempt to help them gain citizenship, I guess. He also discussed fantasizing about torturing Muslims using blow torches, still on camera. All of that is on camera and available. He also praised the actions of the Christchurch shooter who, as a reminder, massacred innocent Muslims who were worshipping in a mosque, including women and children who were trying to run for their lives and who got killed by this fucking coward. Bloho thought that this was very funny, and he said that it was a good thing to be praised and that it should happen more often. This is the type of person we are talking about. This was on his Facebook, his public Facebook. And so you understand, of course, that when all of that is put together, it's a bit hard to take any accusations of racism seriously from someone who has done all of that, has never apologized, and claims that all of these things were just silliness. Now, you watching me right now, would you say that calling for the death of Muslims in the US is just silliness? Do you agree with that? I personally disagree. I think that this is something that warrants an excuse and an apology, at least to the people and the family of the people who got killed in New Zealand. So Bloho, if you want to call other people racist, it's fine, but first and foremost, you're going to send a written letter of apology to every single person whose family you insulted. I know you don't know how to read and write, but maybe get someone else to do it for you, and then maybe you can talk. So that was for the claims of racism. Of course, there was no evidence, but coming from him, it is downright delusional. Now, what I think is most remarkable about this affair is the fact that we're clearly witnessing Bloho attempting to go woke. He's trying to appeal to a more liberal audience by talking about anti-racism, by saying, for example, that you should never put yourself above someone else, etc., and by denouncing his past. And you could tell me that maybe it is genuine, maybe he has actually changed. Well, anyone who knows him knows that it's complete fucking bullshit, because it's not the first time he's attempted that. In the past, for those of you who don't remember, Bloho used to be an Obama liberal during the Obama years. He used to be a big vegan, a big liberal, and he used to try and appeal to that crowd. And then, when the entire right-wing movement became more popular in the US around Trump's election, he became a right-wing nut job, and he said all of the things that I just described to you guys. And now he's trying to go back to liberal. So the guy is flip-flopping all the time, which is not surprising because he has no backbone, he's a roach. If you ever stepped on a roach, you know that they have no bones. They have goo inside their body and an exoskeleton, but that is it. And that is exactly what our boy Hemingway is. He is just a rodent, he's just a parasite and a leash. So this entire shtick about, again, being nice and being anti-racist, I could buy it from anyone else, but certainly not from him. And also would like to point out, Bloho, that the woke crowd don't particularly like old, privileged white men who love guns. It usually is not the demographic they go after. So I think that you should try and maybe appeal to another crowd. I don't know, people who have a fetish for fat fucks, people who have a fetish for people with no teeth. I mean, it must exist. And I know that some of you guys right now are thinking, privileged? Did you just say that Bloho is privileged? How could that be? He lives in a rat hole with an alcoholic roommate. How is it possible that he could be privileged? Because yes, of course, he is indeed at the ripe age of 46, living with a roommate in a flat, a roommate who is addicted to alcohol and who pukes on his live streams. There's a very recent live stream that was actually recorded and saved and archived, where Bloho is talking about random stuff that no one cares about. And in the background, you can hear his roommate purging himself in the sink. And you can see the panic in Bloho's eyes. And he's like, oh shit, they're gonna know I'm a piece of shit. Quick, cut the live. Too late, we saved it, motherfucker. So yeah, that's his life now. And so you could think, well, how could he have a rich background, a privileged background? Well, I know it's hard to believe, but Bloho comes from a very rich and influential family. And all of that has been documented. His father, for example, was confirmed to be extremely wealthy. And that was something that Bloho used to brag about, and people thought it was a lie. It wasn't a lie. For once, he was actually being serious. He was trying to brag about having money in his family. Of course, he himself never did anything to earn that money. His uncle also, for example, worked for NASA. That was confirmed, so that's crazy. And he had a cousin in the NFL. So his family situation clearly shows that he comes from a background of people who are extremely rich, well-educated, and who do well in life. His sister lives in a mansion, which interestingly enough, she doesn't want him to join. She doesn't even want him to visit, maybe because she knows he's going to try and sell stuff and steal stuff from the house, and also because she has kids, but we'll get back to that later. So we see that everyone in his family is doing super well except for him. And the reason why I tell you that is, one, because I think it's hilarious that someone who was born in an upper class family would manage miraculously at the age of 46 to have no car, no house, no wife, no family or children, and no teeth. It's almost a world record. You know the speedruns world record where you're supposed to finish a game as fast as possible? Well, for him, it's ruin your life as fast as possible. And I think he is the world record holder because it is impressive to be able to be that bad at life. How did you squander all of these gifts that life gave you? Well, I'm going to explain it in this video because I have an explanation. But the reason why I give you his background is because it shoots a hole in the worst lie he has ever told. The fact that he was apparently molested as a kid. Now, this one is the worst of the accusations, so I'm going to spend some time to cover it. Blowhole recently accused me of making fun of abuse victims on his page. So he made a video saying that apparently it's my big game to point out people who were molested and make fun of them, which is very severe of an accusation, especially since he tagged every single noble natty and people I associate with in the title, apparently to aware them, which in reality was just to get more views because he's a complete fucking piece of shit and a degenerate. And of course, I would also be a total piece of shit and degenerate if all of this was indeed true. If I made fun of abuse victims, I would be a complete fucking asshole. But of course, we know that coming from him, it isn't true. So let me explain to you how things went down because it's actually very interesting. So as some of you might know, Bloho is a coward, and because he's a coward, he's too pussy to post comments on my page directly because he knows he would be torn to shreds. So instead what he does is he creates sock accounts. So he goes on, he creates a fake Google account, and then he comments with that account so as to protect himself. All of the time his accounts are racially motivated, meaning that he tends to pick like a photo of a Chinese person and he calls them ping pong. Again, I'm not in his head, I don't understand why he thinks it's funny. Recently, this one is crazy. Recently, he started to post under my videos using a picture of an Indian guy, a very good-looking Indian guy, shirtless. And this really shows how he doesn't understand how life works. Because if there existed such a man on this planet, why would they watch you, become a fan, and then spam my comments? Why would someone from Indian descent who is an accomplished bodybuilder and good-looking become a fan of yours? It doesn't make any sense. If you started using profile pics of ugly people, then it would make sense because most of your audience is ugly middle-aged men who are mostly completely worthless at life and who have nothing to show for the 40, 50 years they spent on this earth. So of course they would dislike someone like me because they actually managed to, for some reason, identify with you, which is absolutely terrifying. So all of that to again talk about these sock accounts. And with these sock accounts, he of course comments very nice things. For example, tell me that I'm short, I'm 6 feet, that I'm small, I'm 215 and I'm twice your size, bro, bald. Again, don't ask me. The guy is way too fucking stupid. In some of his comments, he claimed that I had long hair to hide the fact I was going bald. Bro, bald people cannot grow long hair. It's sort of the concept of being bald. And if you want to understand what being bald is, go look into a mirror. You don't even have to open a dictionary because, again, I know you don't own one and you don't know how to read. So that, again, is strange. Bad with women. I'm married. I have a family, unlike you. A dirty Muslim. This one is his favorite. He thinks I'm Muslim, which, I mean, I like Islam, but I'm not a practicing Muslim. It's just that he's a fucking piece of shit and a racist. But you notice that all the things that I just mentioned are things that describe him perfectly. Because small, short, bald, bad with women, yeah, that's Bloho. That's Bloho to a T. He's pretty much describing himself. The only part that doesn't fit is the Muslim part because, as we all know, pig is haram in Islam. But the fact and the thing that made me tick is also the presence in his comments of a certain accusation that kept coming back. Because he kept accusing me of being a pedophile. And because I know that he has a tendency for projection, meaning that he accuses others of what he does, I started digging. Because if you give me a shovel and a plot of land and you tell me there's treasure here, I'm gonna dig. And the amount of evidence I managed to uncover pointing towards him being an actual pedo and a degenerate was too much to ignore. Culminating in the fact that I reached out and talked to many people who all had the same story. Apparently, they all heard at some point or the other from members of his family or people close to him that when he was a teenager, he molested a young girl, allegedly, and that his family had to flee their home during the night because they wanted to escape legal procedures and legal persecutions and prosecutions for their son. That is the story that I've heard. It's never been confirmed, we don't have any proof, and there's no legal case of proceedings that point to that. But it was interesting to see that every single piece of documents and data corroborated towards him being a disgusting person. And the interesting thing about digging is that the more you keep digging, the more things you find. So for example, recently, a member of our little movement, one of my secret agents, found a bunch of forum posts that we know 100% are from him about his little niece. In this video, exceptionally, I might include some screenshots of the proofs and the forum posts so that you can read for yourself. I will be censoring the parts that are too disgusting, I'm sorry. YouTube might strike the video down because it's too graphic, but these are things he discussed. And in this post about his niece, he talked about, for example, the fact that he allowed his niece to read bodybuilding.com, a forum that is rife with pictures of people naked, with dick pics, with horrible things about drugs. And he also talked about the fact that he was trying to teach her about steroids so that she would be better prepared once she joined middle school. Again, all things that only a fucking degenerate would talk about. But it doesn't stop there. In the same fucking forum post, he would talk about coming into a woman and doing like sexual acts with women. And also he would mention his niece in the same fucking post. What type of degenerate does that? At some point, another guy was talking about his little cousin who was 15 and who was, I think, going to school. And Bloho said something like, oh yeah, make sure you feed her an after morning birth pill before you send her to school. As in to say like, oh yeah, if you fuck her, if you rape her, make sure you do everything afterwards to like cover it up. Like, this is in plain sight. He's never deleted any of these posts. They're all still available. And all of that, if you ask me, maybe you think it's normal, but to me that paints a grim picture of the guy. So, with all of these proofs and these informations and evidences pointing to him being a degenerate and a potential pedo, what argument did Bloho use to defend himself? Well, we of course know that he used no argument. He instead tried to deflect because he has no ability to defend himself. So instead, he just tried a basic inversion tactic, as I just said, by claiming that I was the one doing all these things, even though there's no evidence of me doing any of that. There's only evidence of you doing that, Bloho. And he bases this off of the fact that, according to him, this is completely illogical. So try to put yourself in his shoes. Maybe like grab bleach and drink a few shots or hit yourself in the head to lower your IQ points enough to be able to understand his logic. So according to his logic, I was banned from YouTube for inappropriate content, which in his head means that I posted CP. That's what he thinks. Again, if I did do that, I wouldn't just be banned from YouTube, I would be in jail. The FBI would have been at my door within 24 hours. Are you fucking kidding me? Which, of course, anyone who knows what happened to me knows what actually happened. I was banned because I made an anti-pornography video. And I was pointing out the fact that on YouTube, there is sexual content available for minors. So in reality, the exact opposite of what Bloho claims. And I was terminated because YouTube did not like me speaking up about that fact, and so they terminated me. And I only got my page back because the Nobonadis and you guys, the community, pulled together to bring me back. So that was a complete lie, of course. But with him, it never stops. He keeps pushing the ball. So now what he's trying to do is, he's trying to play victim by claiming that I made fun of him for having been molested as a kid. So let's look at this, because it's actually very interesting. So here's Bloho's story. And maybe a few guys know that story. It's very famous. Bloho claims to have been molested by his uncle and aunt when he was a kid, and that upon finding out, his family decided to just leave. So they refused to confront the people that hurt him, and they just left. That's his story. Then he says that he suffered because of it for years, and he uses lifting to try and cope, and he goes to a therapist. He also claims that he told the therapist that I think he gave the number of 30% of all people who get molested become molesters. So he was ready to kill himself if that ever happened, and he actually kept a gun on him with only one bullet. I don't know what movie he saw that into, but I can tell you one thing. As someone who works in close proximity with therapists, if you told that to a therapist, they would alarm someone. There would be no secrecy here. They would do something to make sure that you couldn't hurt yourself or others, especially if you started telling someone, yeah, I might start molesting kids. You think the therapist would just sit there and do nothing? Dude, you'd get arrested. We all know you never went to a fucking therapist. But all of that also points to something more interesting, and that is that there are a lot of holes in this story beyond the fact that, again, it looks like it's just fabrication from the get-go. Here are the problems with the claim. The first one being that at the start, meaning that the first iteration of that story happened on forums. And we know that on forums, he always lies. Because if that's not the case, it means that all of the things he said about his niece are true. Or, for example, the fact that at some point he claimed to have drunk a bucket of horse cum. So which one is it? Did you get molested or did you drink horse cum by the bucket? The two cannot be true. Or do you just lie sometimes? I mean, he could just lie sometimes, but he's a pathological liar. He lies all the fucking time. So why would one be true and not the other? The second reason why this doesn't make any sense is because, and I will not be sharing that because it's too disgusting, I'm sorry, this topic makes me mad. So I'm not going to share the delusions of this fat fucking piece of shit. But in the forum post, he shares disgusting details about his apparent molestation, whatever you call it, being molested. Things that usually traumatized people don't do. Usually you don't want to revisit these things. You keep them under closed doors, or if you do it with a therapist, not on a fucking forum. And if you're going to argue, well, it was his way to like vent, okay, but in that case, why does he seem to rejoice and have a good time writing these stories? I mean, who has been in this situation would share that with strangers and make a big joke about it? I don't think that this is receivable. And again, I'm not going to tell you the details, but he claims stuff like, oh yeah, they touched me and then they fed me ice cream and then he smiles. Like, it doesn't align. Like, and even in his latest videos, when he talks about it, it doesn't sound real. It sounds like he's just rehearsing a script. He knows that many people, rightfully, are sensitive to that topic and are going to actually vouch for him and feel sorry for him because he's, again, playing victim. And that's something we're going to talk about later. But that's a pattern with him. He always plays victim. Now, the third thing that points to him being a liar is the fact that the family dynamics that he describes in this post, so the post where he describes the things that happened to him, don't align at all with what we know of his childhood. In the story he's trying to peddle, his family was white trash, they lived in a trailer park, they had no money. So it's an environment that you could see being conducive to that type of happenings, right? Because it's usually in these environments where kids get hurt because there's no parental supervision and people don't actually care. But the problem again is that we know this is bullshit. He never grew up in poverty. He didn't grow up in a trailer park. He grew up in a very nice house, in a nice neighborhood, with parents who had a shit ton of money. And the stories go like in weird directions too. So he talks about, again, having a cousin that's addicted to meth and who ODs. He talks about one of his cousins who has multiple kids from multiple, what is the term that Americans use, baby daddies, and that the cousin looked at his dick through his pants and said, oh, nice dick. Who would say that? And also, why would you make up a story about your cousin lusting after your dick? You have problems, dude, like the niece thing, then this. Again, all of that pointing to a big fucking fabrication. And then the fourth proof that this is a lie, and this is the most damning one, there's no case number. Bloho claims that he has sued his uncle and aunt for doing what they did to him, apparently, but the issue is that there's no trace of it. And I looked everywhere and I couldn't find a single case. And if you know the way the US case system works, that's not how it works. The cases are documented. If you sue someone and it goes in front of a court, you can find mention of it somewhere. So if that's the case, why doesn't he just share the case number with us and we can verify he actually sued someone? Because that's the big part of his argument too. Oh, I sued, so it must have happened. Even that is not true, but at least it would show that there was a willingness to attempt to punish the people that apparently did that to him. But they never did that to him. That's the problem. From what we know, his uncle and aunt were perfectly fine people, and unfortunately they are both dead. So this guy is like spitting on his closest parental relatives' corpses just for attention, just to be able to play victim. How much of a fucking piece of shit must you be that you use the corpses of people who cared for you when you were a kid just to be able to divert from your own shortcomings? I mean, the guy is not a psychopath, he's a narcissistic individual, but I know that if you're someone like me and you're normal, this is mind fucking blowing, which is also why he gets away with it. Because some people think, oh, no one could be so much of a piece of shit as to lie about it. Think again. That guy is the full fucking case. He has every single sin and trait that you do not want to see in human beings. He is the complete package, the complete shit package. But it doesn't actually stop there because not only is there no case number, But even if there were, understand that the story he tells us around that apparent suing that never happened is the fact that apparently his entire family was part of a satanic Illuminati reptilian cult and that they all practiced ritualistic pedophilia. Again, we have forum posts that corroborate that. This is what he claimed happened. So which one is more likely? That the guy is part of a reptilian family that molests kids and drink babies' blood, or that he's just a fucking liar? Because all of that to me points to the option of him being a fucking liar being much more possible. And I think that this is horrible. I've been making these videos for a long time. I know the guy is a turd and a piece of shit, but this is easily the worst of his lies yet, because in the past he claimed to have Meniere's disease, so he did that to get disability checks, which I believe he still gets. He's been defrauding the US government for a long ass time because he does not have Meniere's. And also to explain why he was so fat, because his big LARP was that he was confined in a bed for 2 years because of Meniere's. If it was that severe, dude, I think that you would have seen a surgeon at this point for your inner ear, but you did nothing, of course, because it never happened. He was just a fat fuck who liked playing World of Warcraft 10 hours a day, leaving his wife to make all of the money and then to clean after his disgusting self. So not only did he claim something that never actually happened, it also is in a way of making fun of handicapped people, because some people actually suffer from stuff like this, and unlike you, they don't have the excuse of being a fat fuck, they actually have to deal with that. Then he also got caught for stolen valor, so if you know anything about Bloho, it's that. He claimed to be a mercenary, and interestingly also, in his fantasy of being a mercenary, he went to South America to kill brown people. It's funny how everything actually aligns perfectly to him being just a complete racist from start to finish. Yeah, the stolen valor arc was actually quite crazy, and keep in mind that he never apologized for it. He keeps saying that he did, but his only apology was to say, oh, I was clearly trolling, guys. So if you fell for it, you're an idiot. I'm not the idiot. Great apology, motherfucker. You still have veterans to this day who are waiting for their proper apology in person, but you'll never do that because the last time you did face a veteran, you got punched in the face and you got a black eye, and then you started to talk about an MMA fight in a bar or you fish hooked the person. Yeah, now we know 100% that this was actually a veteran that sucked him in his stupid fucking face, but that is still tame, I believe, compared to claiming to have been molested in order to garner sympathy and to get more views on a video. How much of a piece of shit must you be to do something like this just to get a few thousand views? Because that's what the video got, a few thousand views. And please, if you're watching this, don't go click on his videos. Don't give him any money. The guy made a farce out of the suffering of people who actually got molested as kids, all of that for a few dollars. This is how far he's willing to go for money. And if you want to sue me for what I just said, Bloho, go right ahead, because you have been threatening me with like legal proceedings for what, like 2 years now? And still nothing at my door. But maybe again, you have connections because you have clients, you have rich clients. So you should have at least a lawyer within your clients that should be enough to do that for you. Because surely they would be happy to repay you for all of the good advice that you gave them. And you notice that I've said lawyer, because every time Bloho threatens me with legal action, he says, I noticed my lawyers. But Bloho, this is not a movie. This is not Better Call Saul. You only need one lawyer to sue someone. One. You contract one person, they send a letter. That's it. You don't need a team. You're completely delusional. We know you're not middle class. You're not upper class. You are bottom of the fucking barrel. You don't have money to hire a lawyer. I know that for a fact. You don't even have a car. Do you understand the money a lawyer would take within a retainer clause to be able to sue someone like me? I mean, I'm no powerful big head, but it would bankrupt you, and you're already bankrupt. So it's simply not going to happen. You're just doing that to try and scare me, as if it would scare me, dude. I would love it if you could sue me, because then I could counter-sue so that you would have to actually foot the fees for my lawyer, and know that it would put you in such a financial hole that you would never actually recover. Maybe they would even garnish your welfare checks, and that would be mwah. If I could be the reason why you can only eat baked beans each month, I would love that. It would also help you lose some fat, you fat turd. And yes, I know this might be news for you, Bloho, but that is how the legal system works. You cannot just sue people and then show up and say he did this. You have to have evidence, and then if it is proven that you are a liar, there are repercussions, which I think you know, because the last time you got sued by someone, which was Lane Norton in the UK, you didn't show up to the trial. Interesting. Almost as if you knew that you were going to lose. And the only reason why you never actually lost anything is because they couldn't even garnish anything. You had no money to your name. There was nothing in your bank account and you had no source of revenue. So you can thank the Lord that we now live in a system that excuses people like you, because I think that in a just society, you would have become like Lane's slave for at least 20 years. You would have like mopped his floors. Like it's one of these movies like Igor, you know, the guy who's like hunched over and who speaks with an accent and he does the bindings of Dracula or whatever. I think that would have been an improvement on your current life, because at least you would have an actual roof and a nice house. But I don't think Lane would have wanted you under his roof because he has kids, which makes sense. Of course, I make a video about Bloho and there's fucking flies around the camera. They smell you, they smell your name through the fucking objective for some reason. And also Bloho, just so you know, to sue someone, you cannot just say, I'm suing you. This is not a sitcom. You can just say you're sued and then the person is sued. You have to actually go through the legal proceedings, etc. Maybe that's why he thinks that he sued his uncle, because he said it. So he thinks that that counts, and this is why there's no case number. Again, I'm just trying to understand what's going on here. But the interesting question is, why? Why all of this now? Because again, I'm coming back with this video because he started to get cheeky recently, but why only recently? Because the video, again, where I say all of these things is years old and he never said anything. Well, from what people close to him told me, because yes, Bloho, your friends from the round table of coaches, they talk to me because they make fun of you behind your back. So they tell me everything you tell them. And from what they told me, the reason why he blew up recently and he was so angry at me is because he couldn't stand the fact that I reached 100k subs. Because like most simpletons, Bloho attaches an inordinate amount of importance to numbers. He thinks that numbers are very important. In his head, if you have 100k subs, you're like a big CEO. He's like Genova in that aspect. You know, Genova, who was panicking because people were unsubbing from his page and he felt he was losing everything. Bloho is the same. Bloho truly believes that he accomplished something in life because he reached 100k subs. 100k subs, by the way, that he only reached with bought subscribers because he plateaued at like 60, 70k and then he bought the remaining 40k with his own money. That is how pathetic he is, that he would buy a lifetime accomplishment and try to delude himself into thinking that he actually earned it and that it was like the accomplishment of his career. If a piece of shit plastic box is the best thing in your life fucking sucks. I didn't even receive that thing. I took it and I tossed it in the garbage like a frisbee. I don't want the garbage, but apparently for you, it's the most important thing in your life. That shows the difference in values between us and the fact that you are a complete subhuman, of course. And naturally, because of all of that, he hoped I would never reach that number, but sadly, people seem to like my videos. Sorry, and it's not just because I shit on you. It's part of it because it's funny, but it's not just that. And the funny thing is that it doesn't stop there, because his worst fear, worse than everything else, other than the fact that one day the government is going to find out that you defrauded them and they're going to ask for the money back, is the fact that he fears that one day I'm going to overtake him in subs, which is going to happen because at the rate I'm going, I gain 3 to 5k a month in subscribers. So very soon I'm going to have more subscribers than you, Bloho. And then what will you do? How will you keep up? You cannot keep up by making good videos because the algorithm fucking hates your guts. And actually, I'm going to tell you a secret. If you wanted your channel to be better and to get better, you would take all of your remaining subscribers and create a new channel. And you would get more views per video. Hard to believe, but it would work. But of course, he is never going to do that because, again, he's a simpleton. He's attached to numbers. So he sees this channel and thinks, oh, it's my baby. It's my life's achievement. I could never. That's why you will never get anywhere. But yeah, I'm continuously growing. So his next option would be to just keep buying subs. And isn't that fucking hilarious that someone who is knee-deep in poverty and who lives, again, with an alcoholic roommate at 46 with no car would spend every single penny he makes from begging on YouTube by buying more fake subs to be able to just catch up to me? Like, I'm becoming an important part in your life, Bloho, and you sure do think a lot about me. Because I don't know about you, but for me, the last time I thought about you was a year ago. I don't really care about you no more. I moved on. I'm just coming back because it's funny to make fun of you. But I know that you watch a lot of my videos, again, from people close to you. And you're not fooling anyone because you're literally stealing things that I say in my own videos. The only difference being that you somehow manage to get them wrong. You take concepts and ideas that I share plainly and you manage to make them wrong. Dude, next time just copy paste my videos and post them on your channel. I will not strike you down. I promise I will not strike you down. Copy my videos and upload them as is. And actually, they would do better. You would actually get some visibility and some subscribers. Do it. Just fucking renounce the shreds of pride you have left and just fucking get on your knees and beg like a bitch. Just do that. Humiliate yourself completely. That's the only thing you have left in life. That's the only way forward for you. So that was the reason why. The big reason why Bloho woke up and chose to do all of these things and lie about such horrible things. It's because he cannot believe his fucking eyes. He cannot believe I'm doing better. But I have a little prediction for you. Every single member of the Noble Natty is going to pass you one day or the other. They already have, technically, because their channels are doing much better than yours, but all of us were going to go way past 100k subs, and there's nothing you can do about it. You think you're going to cancel us? You don't have that type of power, dude. You don't have that type of clout. This is over. So maybe keep buying fake subs, but keep in mind one thing. YouTube has a way to tell if your subs are fake. And if you buy too many, they might terminate your page. And then you have nothing. So be extremely careful. This is my bet. I think he's not going to buy more fake subs. He doesn't have the money for it and he's afraid of losing his page. I think what he's going to do at some point is he's going to hide his subs. So you can bet on it now. When I'm going to get close to him in numbers of subs, magically his subs are going to be hidden and he's going to claim to have 200k subs. Bet on it. Count on it. Because I'm becoming an expert in Bloho psychology. I'm a form of Nostradamus. It's going to happen. Now, I of course want to mention that every single person he tags in his videos to try to appeal to their morality, ignored it entirely. Not a single one of them reached out to me, which is interesting because the accusations are pretty fucking severe. If anyone else accused me, like someone with natural credibility of this, the community would be up in arms. They'd be like, what the fuck is going on? No one even sent me a message. No one. For all of the accusations, racism, whatever. You know why? It's because people know you're a liar. It's over for you. Unless you change your face, which will only be an improvement, people know you're fucking crazy. So when you tag Alan Throw, you think Alan is going to even open your video? He ignored that shit, of course. Jesus Christ, the fact that you would even attempt that is fucking pathetic. And that's because, of course, he's a useless idiot, but not just a useless idiot, he's also a vulnerable narcissist, something that I've been saying for a long time now. I think that I've got him pegged down, which he seems to enjoy. I think the diagnosis fits, because usually vulnerable narcissists exhibit all of the traits that Bloho also exhibits. And this is when we're going to get into a ment madness. I'm going to read you every single trait of vulnerable narcissism, and then I'm going to link it to something that he does. So the first thing is difficulty to handle criticism. So you might not know that Bloho deletes pretty much 50 to 90% of all of the comments that he receives on his page, which again is fucking dumb because it's free engagement. It pushes your video in the algorithm. So when you delete comments, you are pushing your video down, dumbass. But more than that, he doesn't just delete criticism, he adds comments himself. Meaning that you will see under his videos very positive comments saying, oh, you're so big, you're so strong. He writes those. And we know he writes those because they tend to be from accounts that are like a day old, or sometimes he forgets to log off. So he'll post oh, you're so big, you're so strong. And then with the same page, he'll post a response. But dude, it's you. We know it's you. The stock accounts at this point are fucking obvious because you get no traction. You're forced to post comments under your own videos because no one gives a fuck about you to that point. And interestingly, with the criticism thing, he is so fragile that when he used to be with Moon Cookie, one of his ex-girlfriends, he mandated her to delete comments in his place because it would make him cry. Apparently, deleting the mean comments would make him burst in tears, which is hilarious because he tried to sell himself as an alpha male. So now he's trying to appeal to the woke crowd by being like, oh, racism bad, and then turn around and just burst into tears because someone was mean to you on the internet. How much of a bitch must you be? I understand why your dad didn't like you very much, because he got a girl. He was told, oh, you have a son. He was like, a son to take over the empire. And then he spent 3 years with you and he was like, Jesus, what did I do to deserve this? And again, it's not a rip against girls because most girls are much more masculine and capable than he is. But with the criticism, yeah. His girlfriend had to spend 5 hours a night to delete the comments. And he used to call her the algorithm. He used to claim that, oh yeah, it's an algorithm that I created to delete comments. No, you begged your girlfriend to delete comments because you are pathetic. Another trait of vulnerable narcissist is the need for constant praise. So him writing nice comments to himself, I believe is proof enough that he possesses and exhibits that trait. Unclear sense of self. This one is interesting. Vulnerable narcissists don't really know who they are, so they constantly try to reinvent themselves. Case in point, the fake Merc thing, trying to create this persona as a badass alpha soldier, the fact he flip-flops on his politics every 2 weeks, one day he's a vegan, one day he's a badass meat eater, he just has no personality of his own, because when you have a personality, you become vulnerable to attacks. So if you have actually no face and you just wear a mask, well then you are protected from such things. And it also explains why he cannot be original. Like, he literally lacks the ability to be original as a human being. And if you look, and please don't, but I'll tell you that you don't have to do it, if you check his page, you'll notice that he's been copying my videos and everyone else's Nobonadi's videos for the past fucking year. He copies our titles, he copies the concepts, things he understands nothing about, but he also sort of knows that it's going to get clicks because it's interesting concepts. You're too dumb to make them interesting. You just devalue them. But again, I understand why you do that. It's because you don't have an ability to create things for yourself. Keep in mind also that and we're going to get back to this because this is crazy. Back when Alex was talking about West Side a ton, Blow started talking about West Side. So even within strength, which some people for some reason still think he's competent in, even within that domain which he's supposed to be competent about, he still copies other people because he has no personality. The fact that he copies The Rock, I don't know if he's still doing that anymore, but he used to try to copy The Rock. But The Rock has charisma. The Rock is 6'4". The Rock is chiseled. He's a brown god. What are you? You're like a pale dwarf. It simply doesn't work when you do that. Next one on the list is manipulative tendencies. I think that the entire thing I explained to you about him pretending to have been molested is proof enough. He plays the victim all the time because he just cannot take responsibility for his actions. Inability to empathize. This one is interesting. So, for those who don't know, Blow used to have a dog that he named Nova, like a fucking 12-year-old, and that dog was being mistreated on a daily basis because it was a dog stuck in a very tiny apartment, so he was very miserable, naturally. And one day, Blow decided to go on a trip to, I think it was Las Vegas or Los Angeles, to visit his stripper girlfriend, and his genius brain decided that a good idea would be to just leave the dog with like a lot of water and food, thinking the dog would be able to like rationalize the event and just eat enough to survive. So naturally, the dog being a dog, he ate the entire thing in 24 hours and then he starved to death. So when Blow came back, the dog was half fucking dead. And instead of taking him to the vet, you know what he did? He took the body and he dumped it in the garbage. That's what from all of the pieces of information we got from this event, that's what we know happened. So this guy essentially tortured the dog to death and then tossed it in the garbage, still alive. What a great person, what a great individual. And when actually pushed on the issue of the dog, because people were like, where is the dog, where is Nova? He claimed that, and I shit you not, what did he call them? Jihadis infiltrated his house and killed his dog. If anyone infiltrates your house, it's going to be able to deal with you, dumbass, not your dog. So, kills his dog, refuses to take responsibility, and I also unveiled, and I say an agent unveiled some interesting forum posts where Bloho bragged about torturing cats when he was a kid. And we're talking about like taking a cat and digging a hole and then putting the cat in the hole with only the head above ground and then running over it with a car or a lawnmower. These are things that he claimed. We know that these are his posts. Something that showcases a complete lack of empathy and also borders on psychopathy. Now, the next trait is difficulty forming relationships. Speaks for itself. Bro backstabbed every single person that was ever nice to him. Elg Intensity at some point was friends with Bloho, and what happened? They had a falling out because Elg Intensity realized that Bloho was a fucking liar, and Bloho naturally called him a small-dicked Asian because he's such a respectful and tolerant person. Naturally, that this is what a tolerant person would do. And the list goes on and on. He had a guy, I think Jerry Ward, who used to be friends with him, and Jerry was struggling with addiction. And so, very nicely, Bloho used to call him Junkie Ward. I thought it was bad to make fun of abuse victims and survivors. But isn't someone who is trying to get clean from drugs a survivor? So why did you call him Junkie Ward? Why did you rejoice when his mom died? Can you tell me that, you piece of shit? Of course you can't. You have no empathy and you cannot form relationships with others. So all of the things I say must just go right over your head, which explains why also he's so jealous of the Nobonadis, because we have a community going of people who care for each other, something that he is never going to be able to understand. Then this leads also to jealousy and envy. Talking about Nobonadis, I must mention my boy Alex, who is an angel on earth. Alex Leonidas is the nicest person I've ever met in my life. Because to this day, even after everything Bloho did to him for years, he's still nice to him. Keep in mind that Bloho made hundreds of videos about Alex, calling him an idiot, weak, saying he had no idea what he was talking about, saying he was just running gimmicks, calling him an homosexual. Unfounded, I don't think Alex is gay, but Bloho seems to have something out for people who are gay, even though he himself admits that he likes it in the ass. What is going on in his head is unfathomable for me, but all of that, again, to point out to the fact that every time there's someone around him that is doing better, he must attack him. And he does that with Alex. And if you think that this is over and it's the past, just recently, he made a video attacking Alex again. And in the video, he claimed all of the nonsense that you hear all the time, that Alex's lifts wouldn't count, he's not that strong, I'm stronger than him. Let us clear the air for a second and be perfectly clear here. Alex is much stronger than you on every single lift. He squats more than you when you actually go ass to grass, when you actually squat to depth, he's stronger than you. When he deadlifts, he is at your strength level, even though he's lighter. And on bench press, I won't even mention it because it's too much. He benches 4 plates. And you claiming that, oh, it's not regulation. He beat your bench press PR in an official competition while being lighter and natural. He mugs you in every aspect of life. And it's so, I love seeing Alex blow up on YouTube because it's like, mwah. Right now, Alex is doing so good. He's like collabing with big YouTubers and he's finally getting the respect that he deserves. And this is what makes Bloho mad. Because keep in mind that Alex used to watch Bloho. He used to be under him. So Bloho was like thinking, oh, this is my disciple. He's going to be my bitch forever. And then Alex just shot right past him. And you know why, Bloho? It's because Alex is a hard worker, he's intelligent, and he's kind. He knows what he's talking about, he's strong, he's good looking, he has done a bodybuilding show. Everything that you wish you were, he's doing better at. And your only other thing that you could say to try and like go against it is to say, well, at least I'm taller. No, we know that you're not actually taller than him, you're the same height. So what is your next scope? Alex mugs you in every single aspect. And he reminded you of that in a comment. Again, very nicely. Alex is a saint. Very nicely, he tried to explain to you like you would explain to a kid with Down syndrome that's eating his own turds. He tried to tell you, hey, dude, you need to calm down, you need to stop calling me out and saying random stuff about me. I'm stronger than you, it's okay. He even cheered for you. He told you, hey, I'm excited for you, dude. You're going to get like better, you're going to get better PRs. And what did Bloho do? When faced with this kindness, this is why you never ever offer a roach a piece of cheese. You step on the fucking roach. Because if you're nice to a roach, the roach is going to take it as weakness. When Alex was so nice to Bloho, what Bloho did is he tried to guilt trip him. Tried to tell him, oh, well, let's talk about principles. You associate with people who do this and do that, all of the things that I debunked previously. So again, complete inability to take responsibility for his actions. He's such a bitch that he talked smack behind Alex's back. Then Alex, like a man, showed up on his channel and was like, what's up, dude? You want some of this? And Bloho backed off like a little bitch he is. And just again to corroborate everything that Alex said, yes, Alex is correct. He is stronger than you on every single lift. He has a better total than you if he actually wanted to compete. Because that's the funny thing. Alex is better than you at something that you've spent your entire life doing. As a hobbyist, he's better than you. If he did a show, if he did a meet tomorrow, he would beat your PR at a lighter body weight natural. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel that other people who get what you've always wanted, me with the 100K and Alex with the strength numbers, that we don't really care about them? It's just on the side. It's just a hobby. It's something we do on the side. How does that make you feel to know that you're being completely life mugged by everyone around you? It's beautiful. Alex also said that you haven't been progressing for the past 3 years. Correct. I actually Googled your close grip bench press strength from 4 years ago. You benched the exact same number. You haven't put a pound on the bar in 4 fucking years with drugs at a high body weight and high body fat. You are a failure. Again, it's amazing. You are a world record failure. No one is better at you than failing. Now, another trait, projecting blame onto others. Blame random people for the death of his dog that he killed. Used to blame his ex-girlfriend for the apartment being dirty. Dude, you didn't work. She worked. Okay, she used to bring the bacon home. The least you could do is actually clean the fucking floors. But when pressed and asked, hey, why is it so dirty in your apartment, he used to blame his girlfriend. This is why, again, people like this, you don't want them in your life because you think you're being nice, you're trying to help them. You cannot help these people. Just like Alex, again, tried to be nice. Don't be nice to people like this. Just follow my example, just crush them. And the last trait is poor boundaries. Poor boundaries because these people don't have an ability to actually tell people, hey, you cannot do that, or I don't like this. And it materializes because recently he joined a round table with other people, and I was super curious to think and to find out who would be stupid enough to associate with this guy. And then I found out why they did it. It's because he's essentially their mascot. So throughout the podcast, they make fun of him to his face, and he says nothing. The tough guy, the alpha male, the monster, sits there like a bitch and says nothing. On video call, he's not even in their presence and he's intimidated because, of course, he's 5'4" and a dwarf. But I think that this is his calling in life. It's to be a buffoon. You know, back in the Middle Age, kings would have buffoons to amuse them. I think that this is his calling in life. It's the only thing he can do. This is why I make these videos. Don't be mad at me, bro. I'm just giving you a job. I'm just giving you the opportunity to amuse people. And the good thing too is that you're a dwarf and you're also a hunchback. I think kings back in the days would have paid a lot of money, a lot of coins in gold to be able to have you. Because like a hunchback dwarf, I mean, it would be like the talk of the court. European powers would fight over your presence. But unfortunately, we don't live in such times anymore. So instead, you just get to be a lol cow. Now, what causes this? Are people born vulnerable narcissists? Was he born like this? Well, not really. We know that usually it's the environment during childhood, and neglect tends to do that to people. So if your parents don't pay attention to you, you are going to start to develop these traits as a defense mechanism in a sense. Try to make up for what you don't have. And this makes sense in this case because we know that his dad wasn't particularly proud of him, which I perfectly understand, and eventually cut ties with him, which also points to his stories about his family being wrong. Because if every single member of a family cut ties with one individual, is it the individual's fault or is it the family's? I mean, as we say in French, si tu sors dehors et que ça sent la merde partout où tu vas, regarde toutes tes chaussures. If it smells like shit everywhere you go, check under your shoes. And in this case, the shoe is me and the turd is Bloho. Now, with this entire thing too, you have to keep in mind that Blo's dad only one son, and he cut ties with him too. So I think that points to him being the culprit in this situation. And this is why Blo is constantly seeking the approval of other men. You've noticed that, I think. Every time there's a more capable man around him, he wants to, in a sense, be seen positively in their eyes because he's trying to make up for the lack of affection that he never received from his dad. But the issue is that no one is interested in being your dad, Blaha. I'm not interested. I don't want to be your daddy. I'm sorry. I know you keep name dropping me and you keep making little smart remarks about me. I mean, I'd rather have kids that are going to grow up to be good people rather than you. I don't want to adopt a 46-year-old, like, hunchback midget. Sorry, it's not super attractive. I don't think my wife would approve. Also, we have dogs and they're trained to protect the entire domain and they go after skunks. You smell like a skunk. They might mistake you for one and eat you alive, which would also just be payback for what you did to Nova. So it's just not going to work out that way. I'm sorry. You have to find another dad somewhere else. And maybe you will from this round table of people who, again, make fun of you behind your back and send me messages of what you send them. But if you wonder why I know so much about vulnerable narcissism, it's because for some reason, I cannot explain it, fate keeps putting these people on my path. So not counting Bloho, ever since I started this series, for some reason, I've met 2 vulnerable narcissists, and each one of them shared very similar traits with him. The first one I met is mostly anecdotal, but he shared so many traits with Bloho that I want to share with you guys. So he was a man in his 60s, 70s, and from what I understand, he had squandered away the entirety of his family's wealth, and we're talking about a few $1 million by doing shitty investments. He also refused to work by claiming an imaginary illness, just like Bloho, and he also claimed to have 140 IQ. I don't know about you, but for me, every time I meet someone who claims like a ridiculously high IQ, they always tend to be stupid. And this guy was one of the stupidest men I had ever met in my life. Just like Bloho, he also used to blame all of his shortcomings on the fact that he was apparently neglected as a kid, which I later found out was complete bullshit. He was a golden child and he had a great childhood. He was using that as an excuse to explain why he was not doing anything with his life, which is also a typical trait of vulnerable narcissists. They have a tendency to blame their families for their shortcomings, even though they're the sole culprits. The second one is much more interesting because he is also very close to Bloho in the sense that he told me such crazy lies that even me trying to tell them back to you will not be enough. It will not make them justice, but I will attempt. So I met this person within a certain scenario where he was essentially trying to sell me something. And I quickly found out that the person was a scam artist because he was trying to sell me precious gems that he was claiming came from his private property. But he lived in the suburbs. So I was a little bit confused. And when I pressed him on it, he told me that in his backyard, one day he was like digging for some reason, doing some like yard work, and he stumbled upon gold and gems and rubies and sapphires, and that now he had a mine that went, like he told me, 200 feet deep in his backyard. Anyone who knows anything about HOAs knows that you cannot just dig a fucking mine in your backyard. It's not how it works. And also, the entire area had been raided by people during the gold rush. Any amount of gold was already taken off the land. So this made no sense whatsoever, but it was an attempt by him to try and justify where he got the gems from. And he also used to tell me things like, oh, this gem, someone else wants to give me 70K for it, even though like, even if it were real, it wouldn't be worth 70K, but I could sell it to you for less because you're my friend. All nonsense that I saw right through, of course, but I was interested in seeing how far he would go, so I kept pressing him. And eventually he took me in a room full of gems, telling me, oh, look at all of my gems. That is what I can sell you. And upon examining the gems, I immediately realized that they were all bought off of like websites because they were covered in that weird shiny substance that you can get, like, you know, when you go to the store, you go to a mountain for a hike and you see the gems, you can buy them for $5. This idiot bought that and thought that I was going to fall for it. He also tried to sell me a cat that was clearly made of plastic by telling me it was a diamond and one of the ears was missing. What cut the diamond ear? A diamond sword? I mean, all sorts of nonsense. And I tell you this so that you can better understand where Bloho's lies are coming from. In these people's heads, they're geniuses. Vulnerable narcissists truly believe themselves to be geniuses, but most times they're complete fucking idiots. Another thing that this person told me is that he would hire me to sell gems in Arizona for 60K a year. He claimed, this one is just, this one is spaghetti sauce. He claimed to be the sole descendant of Da Vinci, meaning that he claimed to be in direct line of descendants with Da Vinci, and that he was part of a secret society that was trying to like do a secret mission following Da Vinci's order. So he saw the Da Vinci Code, pretty much, just like Bloho, who sees movies and then tries to adapt them to his life. He saw that and he thought, you know what would work? To claim that I'm Da Vinci's descendant. The issue is that, from what we understand, Da Vinci was at least bisexual or gay, and he never had a descendant because he never had kids, he never had a wife. And I knew that. So imagine me in a couch in a shitty fucking house in the burbs, having to keep a straight face when the guy just passed me like a cat made of plastic saying, oh, it's a diamond, and then claiming to be one of Da Vinci's descendants. It was tough, but I did it for you guys because I wanted to come back with men's. He also claimed to have been a sniper in the Marines. I don't even know if the Marines have snipers, with 80 confirmed kills. So very similar to Bloho too. Vulnerable narcissists always try to make themselves look better. So they tend to try and look at professions that make you look cool, and soldier is one. So most of the time when you have someone who commits stolen valor, they tend to be a covert narcissist. He also claimed to have the knowledge, oh, this one is gold. I didn't write the entirety, I have to remember. He claimed to have the knowledge of a secret cache of Nazi gold hidden somewhere in the neighborhood, which is mind-boggling because the neighborhood was populated by Germans. So I think in his head it made sense that Germans would therefore be Nazis and have Nazi gold, and he claimed to have the gold. And the funny thing is that I'm blowing my nut early here by telling you this, but I eventually reported him to the police for scam, and he claimed that I was actually a secret agent for the Nazis and that I used to be an SS, and I shit you not, that I had SS tattooed on my neck, and that I got it burnt off because I had scars because of front squats. I used to do front squats, so I had scars here while the bar was hitting my neck. And the guy told the police, oh, he's actually SS, he's a Nazi, he got the tattoos removed, he's actually German. Imagine having to tell that to the officer. We had such a good laugh. It was incredible. But it's interesting to see that these deranged minds always go to the same places, Nazi, like the Marine snipers. He also claimed to own the entirety of the Indian railway system, not bonds or stocks, the entirety. He owned all of it. If you're Indian right now, you must be bent over in half and just dying of laughter. And this was cute. He created a treasury bond with his own little hands on the computer with like the proof that he owned the entirety of the Indian railway system, and he showed it to me, saying, hey, I have billions of dollars. Why would I try to scam you with the gems? You see the way these people's brains work? So funny. He was also a meth head. Meth head, that's what you say, meth head. He would constantly pick at his neck. So I left. I went home and I got him arrested for illegal possession of firearm and possession of illegal substances and attempt to scam. I think he had a plea deal, whatever. But it was mind-blowing because I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, I found another blowhole. This is blowhole biz, and I now have 3 blowholes in my life. I met 3 blowholes. So I don't know why I might attract these types. I don't know if it's my mission on Earth to send these people to jail. Blowhole, you might be next. But yeah, usually vulnerable narcissists are people who weren't disciplined properly growing up. And so maybe, yeah, it is my mission to discipline them. So I'll go against my word for a second here, and I'm going to step in as Blaha's dad. Blaha, I know you watch all of my videos, especially these ones, so listen to me. If you don't behave, there will be consequences. Meaning that I was nice enough and I left you alone for a year because, frankly, you're below my pay grade at this point. It's true that I'm wasting my time with you. I know that the meth addicts love it when I spank you, but you know, there's not much in it for me. I'll still do it out of the love of the game, of course. But keep in mind that I don't mind making monthly installments again if you misbehave. And I know that you might think that nothing worse could happen to you after this video, but keep in mind one thing. My best cards I keep in my back pocket. So here's something that should calm you down and, you know, will also make some of the addicts water at the mouth. I have access to all of your private messages. I have a database of every single message you've ever sent. And it was not even done through any illegal means. It's just that you're a fucking idiot. You're so shit at protecting your data that I could access it via public means. So I have all of it. Everything that you've been selling, I have. And for the past month, you've been selling some pretty spicy stuff. Not just about Alex or to Alex on his page in the comments, but even about stuff that you got caught doing in the past and you're doing it again. Would you like me to reveal all of that? You're desperately trying to crawl your way out of that hole. You want me to kick you down the hole again? Because I would love nothing more than that. You know I would love nothing more than that. So here's the deal. If you keep me and the rest of the noble natties out of your mouth, I'll stay still. I won't read anything. And by keep us out of your mouth, I mean no community post, no name dropping, not even a comment under your own video, nothing. If anything comes to my ear and if you misbehave again, I'll make another installment and I'll expose all of the things that you want kept quiet. Sounds good? Alright, well that's going to be it for today. If this got you hooked, you are in luck. You have 21 episodes to catch up on. They're all in the description and in a playlist. If you want to support this channel, you can do it via my Ko-fi page. It's the first link in the description. And keep in mind that if you donate $8 or more, you are going to donate the entirety of Blow's bank account to me. And that would be incredibly funny. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.